thank you so much for taking the time today, and happy anniversary, 5,000 episodes. I cannot believe that.
Unbelievable.
How,
Unbelievable.
how have you seen the, the daily experience of coming in at days change from when you first started to where it is now? Because I know there used to be like a drive block and a dress rehearsal, and going into the evening wouldn't necessarily be unusual, even if it wasn't a big party scene. But now the economics must feel like it's doing live theater because you guys have to tape so quickly.
You're right. It does feel a bit like live. And no surprise to you, we're one of the very few shows on the air still
Hmm.
that Greg Meng was able to come in and say, okay, we can do this. We can cut it back. We can cut it down. We can do it faster. We can, and so we literally got kept on the air. One of the people were trying to figure out the rubrics on the money and the time and what it took to get a show produced. So yeah, it is fast. It is so fast. And as you said, from 6 a.m. until dusk usually. But now we come in shortly before our scenes start. We quickly get into hair and makeup, go on stage. There's no blocking. There's no rehearsal. When you hit the stage, you block it quickly, which to the audience means stand here or stand there. And then on occasion you'll be asked if you'd like to go right to tape. Don't rehearse it. The cameras will pick it up. They'll figure it out because these guys are the best. And we've managed to keep this show on the air.
I'm glad you mentioned Greg. He was definitely a man ahead of his time with digital. And Days was a first for a lot of things. It was the first, I believe, NBC soap opera in color. It was one of the first to go to an hour. And now it's one of the first to, well, it is the first to go exclusively streaming. Can I ask you about Marlena's introduction? They were very smart to have you come onto the show as someone who was going to help someone we already cared about, Mickey. And therefore, if you're helping Mickey, we're already going to like you.
Wow. Listen to you. And I'm used to new characters coming in and being introduced through a family member because we have to know how they fit in. I'll look at you in your cup. How they fit in, how they're accepted, and that's just very good, clever writing. But yes, I was brought in as Mickey's therapist. You're right. So of course they were pulling for her.
Absolutely. It was Pat Falcon Smith who created your character and brought you on. And this woman had a couple of runs at Days. And in her next run on Days, she developed created the Brady family. And pairing you and Wayne together was absolutely, it sparks from day one. We can watch on YouTube the original scene where he comes in pretending to be someone else. And at first you're trying to help him, Marlena. And then she thinks, wait a minute, this guy could be dangerous. And that was Roman's way of showing that Marlena needed his protection.
Do I look like I'm drawing a blank? I'm thinking that our first scene was when he dropped his sleeping bag on my living room floor.
That's when he showed up. And just the idea of a guy camping out in your living room who's going to protect you. I mean, it was a great love story that started off slowly, and you guys emerged as this incredibly popular couple. And I got to tell you, when Roman went off that cliff at Thanksgiving, it kind of ruined Thanksgiving for a lot of households across America.
No kidding. And yes, yeah. What Wayne had decided to, he's a cowboy. He's got a ranch up in up Northern California, and television is the thing that he loved, but he really loved his, being a cowboy. And he was sort of ready to move on.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking because we created such an amazing couple, the cop and the doc, and the difference in personalities and lifestyles and history, and it was magic.
It gave you such wonderful material when we all thought Roman was gone. I was just talking to Peter Reckel, and I asked him about the scene where he comes to Marlena and says he has to tell her that I let the body wash out to sea, which was brilliant because that left the writers an opening to bring him back later. but it robbed Marlena of the opportunity to say goodbye. And your performance in there was absolutely fantastic. I believe you were nominated the following year for an Emmy, so that material would have fallen in that period. It was really just wonderful, the drama they've given you to play over the years.
It's been quite a run, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
And only in daytime can you have that kind of run. Can you play every beat of every emotion known to man?
We were all very sad when you went off to Our House. What was your experience on that show like? We all followed you to Our House, but we missed
Thank you.
Marlena. What was your experience on that show like with Wilford Brimley and the cast?
I wanted to do that show so much. I was I loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, and desperately wanted to do it. And NBC and Days had been good enough to say, you know, we're going to work with you for a year, and we will have you shooting your scenes on Saturday. Come in Saturday, shoot your scenes, and then go to our house during the week. It was a different kind of show. Obviously, it was, you know, a single camera film. Working with kids meant that I had the swing shift because they had to be in school certain hours. So I had the world's longest day. Working with Wilford, not who you think he is. He's not the Quaker Oats guy, but it was an incredible learning experience. And when I auditioned for it, he had said, I knew that he didn't want me for the part. He was afraid that it would turn into a soap opera actress. And we met for dinner right before it happened. And he said, I'm nervous. This thing makes me nervous. I get nervous because this is a real woman. She's got to look real. She's got to sound real. She's got to behave in a real way. And I said, that's who I am at my core. You know, Marlene is a character. And I said, and I give you permission that if I ever step out of the bounds we both want this Jesse character to be, I'm giving you permission to call me on it. He said, good enough.
I bet he never had to.
What?
I bet he never had to.
He did.
Okay.
He did. There was one time where we had a scene where we were trucking through the house, and he tells me, honey, your son is dead. You can't get in the and he turns to me in a cross shot, and he said that line directly to my face, and got his side of it. We stopped, turned the cameras around, and he said, I'm going to tell you something. You're in danger of going to that place.
Sure.
Because it's such a big line and such a big moment. And he told me a personal story about his life and how he behaved. And he said, and that's what I want to see when I get the line.
Nice.
From the master.
We were sad to see Our House go, but we were thrilled that meant Marlena was going to walk out of the fog. And no matter how many times they re-air that show, that episode where that moment happens and Drake turns and looks at you, it is just magic. The show shot up in the ratings overnight. Fans wanted to see you back. And was there any question that you would not come back to Days, as opposed to like maybe doing something else or trying for another primetime show? What did it mean to come back to play Marlena back in '91?
It was like I hadn't left. Days has always been my home, and to this day is a home. So I was sorry that Our House couldn't continue because I thought that was an incredibly high quality show, good for the audience. It was very rich in so many ways. But going back to Days was not even a consideration. Of course I went back.
Jim Riley came on not long after that, and he took Marlena to places. He re-established her rightful place as the lead heroine of the show. The triangle with Roman and John worked, and so much else. The possession. What did it mean to have a writer like that, and what were your thoughts of that era of the show?
Jim Riley was such a genius, you know, and we know that he created Possession. We also know that he was a devout Catholic. So when I was approached about the story, I thought, I don't know, but I trust him. I trust this story and these hands, and always have, you know. And you know me, I don't think it's our job to write. I think it's our job to take the words and bring them to life. So, you know, whatever he wanted to do, I was in for. And that it was Possession. I went, okay. I mean, I've got a deep and abiding faith in God and
Right.
belief and all that. And so I thought, as did he. So I thought, I'm in good hands. I'm in safe hands.
Can you preview the 5,000th episode that Ron has written for you, honoring your 5,000 episodes?
John and I are talking, and he asks me how many patients I think I've seen during my entire career, and I say, oh, I don't know. And he said, is it 5,000? And I think I say, it's been too long now since we shot. I think I say, no, it couldn't be. Well, maybe it could be 5,000. So we continue the 5,000 wordplay.
That's wonderful. Do you have a special shout out to the fans who followed you for so many years, and to the show, and Ken, and all the people that help make Days of Our Lives the continuing success that it is?
You know, it's a family shout out. It's Ron Carlivati, it's Ken Corday, it's the Corday family, because when I began, Betty was still there.
Yeah.
And it's the production team, our on-stage team, our makeup room team. It's everybody pulling as hard as they can in the same direction. And the fans who have followed us over to Peacock, just my deepest gratitude and my deepest thanks.
That's wonderful. Listen, Deidre, congratulations on 5,000 episodes. Thank you so much for this wonderful interview.
Oh, Michael, thank you. So good to see you.
Same here. Have a good day. Thank you.
You too.